Up, everybody? So, the Sorcerer rolled Fireball on the old Wild Magic table and TPK'd everyone, so session got canceled. Welcome back. Session's canceled. You're here for episode 17 and part 3 of the Class Handbook series. I'm here with the usual denizens of the clown car, Isaiah.
Hello.
Matt.
Hi there.
And Sam once again returns to us. The Mechanicus did not take him.
Okay, but seriously, wild shape sorcerer.
Put that one on. We'll put that one on the back burner, Sam. Keep it on the back burner. Put it on low heat. Keep it toasty. We'll come back around to it.
And they don't have control over it. It's like wild magic, but better.
Oh God.
Every time you use wild shape, you gotta roll. Sometimes you get the dinosaur. Sometimes you get the hummingbird.
This just sounds like polymorph with extra steps.
It is polymorph with extra steps is exactly what it is. Sam's over here as an agent of chaos.
That's what mild magic is it not?
I mean...
What it should be, at least.
I mean, yes. Yes, but also the idea of wild magic polymorphs is like... That feels like a whole nother level. If it wasn't apparent, we're talking about Sorcerer today. In part 3 of the old Class Handbook series, we have hit Wizard. Yeah, we hit Fighter, Wizard, and now we're on the old Sorcerer, the other big boy magic class. And I'm gonna be honest, I mostly just have Sorcerer on the brain because I'm playing a Sorcerer in a campaign right now, so it's at the forefront. And me and Sorcerer, we need to have some words. So here we go.
Why is that?
We're gonna get into it, Matt.
Oh, that's what I was asking.
But first we have to hit our openers, as we do with every one of these. Now I will explain this one more time, but this will probably be the last time because 3 is a good number, and also Sam wasn't here for the other 2, so it'd be handy to give him a little explanation. So our 3 opening questions. How do you rate Sorcerer on a 1 to 5? Who is the quintessential Sorcerer for you in media for you? And again, the rating and this second question are, personal opinion. Has nothing to do with like meta or what other people say or any bullshit. Just how you feel deep in your heart of hearts, in your kingdom hearts, if you will. And have you played the class? Obviously, the last one's real simple. To explain the rating again real quick, because, again, Sam wasn't here. It's a 1 to 5 scale. It's very simple. If the class is a 1 for you, that means you have no interest in playing them. You don't like any of the subclasses. It has a bunch of issues for you. You're just not about it. On the mid-range, you have a 3, which is like, there's some parts I like, some parts I don't like, some things I'd like to change, some things I'm pretty happy with, some good subclasses, some bad subclasses. And then a 5, which is, I love everything about it. I think it's got lots of cool stuff going on. There's only a couple of small changes I would make, if any. The important point being a 5 does not mean it's perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect game design or perfect class design or any of that crap. So it does not mean it's perfect. It just means you like it a lot.
Yes. I know this podcast's reading comprehension skills. However, I can read. Just want to throw that out.
What do you mean?
I have been staring at the starter questions for about 45 minutes.
Oh, I know. I just wanted to extrapolate a little bit.
This is for the audience, Sam.
Well, it's that, and also I wanted to just extrapolate the point out a little bit. Particularly the scale, because I think explaining it, there's a value in it. Also, Sam, if you would like to rattle off the answers to those questions for Fighter and Wizard real quick, also you can. I'll leave it up to you if you feel like doing that or not. But I'll let you cook on it.
I've played literally none of these classes. The
Really?
quintessential one, literally. I'll be honest, buddy. I've only played D&D like with 3 different characters.
I mean, if you don't have to answer, I'm just saying. I'm positing the opportunity if you're feeling it.
I think. Oh no, I have played. Well, 4th edition is a little bit different. I did I was trying to play a Blade Singer in 4th edition.
Yes.
However, I only played the character for a grand total of like 2 sessions. So I don't really count that. Like, I've played
No, it was
Barbarian.
a little bit longer than that, but it wasn't long.
2 sessions where we actually did things, because that group was massive. And like, I played Barbarian for like a session. I played Paladin for like a session. Yeah, no, I really haven't played many people, actually. I think Warlock is the one that I've played the longest.
Probably. Wow.
And longer than 5 sessions. So, you know, have I really played them? No. What I would rate them, I mean, Fighter has a lot that needs to be fixed, so I'd throw it at like a 2.5.
Hey, same Z's. I also said 2.
Mostly because I like the idea of Fighter. It's just got so much that needs to be kind of reworked.
No halvesies, though. Firm numbers only.
I'm gonna have to tell you no. So
was it that easy? Was it that easy the whole time?
Yeah.
Damn, Isaiah and I are looking at each other like, fuck.
I mean, I would prefer we not do halvesies. Let's put it that way.
I mean, yeah, no, I can't give you anything but a 2.5 because it just. I like the idea so much of a fighter, and that's you know, I guess strange for people because, you know, what does fighter do? A hit thing. But I like hit thing. I just wish it had more subclasses that were better or made more sense for the theme that they were going for, like samurai being basically a charisma fighter is very strange. I say charisma because most of its like subclass stuff is based around communication and not hit thing, except for the one where it's like, yeah, I don't die this turn, smile. Wizard, I'm gonna be real with you, Chief, and this is gonna go for Sorcerer as well. It's a hot 2. I don't like full casters.
My heart.
Oh.
Maybe it's a good thing Sam wasn't here for the Wizard episode.
I like Wizard as a concept. I do not like casters in D&D. I just don't. And it's not even like you have so much to manage thing, or you have to be super creative for them. I like half casters more because I feel like they just have more going for them than just full caster. Like,
It can be a lot.
Warlock is... I don't even know where to put Warlock on the caster scale.
Is Warlock a half caster? Or?
It's not. It's more like...
Wait, Warlocks get 9th level spells, right? Or do they not?
Yes.
No.
They get 1.
They do.
Oh, they got 1?
Everyone
well,
gets
isn't
one,
that
Matt.
because... That's because they have that, like...
It's the Mystic Arcanum thing.
Yeah. It's the class ability. It's not like
Yeah.
they actually go all the way to 9th.
Right.
Because they get, like, 1/7, 1/8, and 1/9.
I think
That's
also
it?
1/6.
Yeah,
Because
like,
their
they
max
don't get a whole lot.
casting is like 5 for
Mhm.
5th level spells.
Yep,
So I guess
So, like-
that would technically be half cap.
technically.
Because they cap at 5th level spells. Not counting that.
Yeah. So, like, you know, they're a little bit different. They got a whole... They, honestly, Warlock is, to me, way closer to what Sorcerer should be in a lot of ways.
I had that note.
I noticed.
We'll get around to that.
Although I don't think that Warlock should be, you know, or Sorcerer should be 100% Warlock. So, like, you know, casters, I'm not 100% on them. I feel like the way that they're done in 5th edition is not close enough to what I want. It's like a 2, you know. I have quintessential fighter. I don't know. Wizard. Listen, buddy, I know this is a source of contention, but I think it's Gandalf.
God damn it, Sam.
You know,
Did you just say that? Did you just say that to start a fight?
Oh my god.
He's a druid.
I mean, we've literally had this. We've literally had this conversation. I don't care if he's actually a druid or not. When I think wizard, I think either Merlin or Gandalf.
I mean,
So.
did you hear what my answer to quintessential wizard?
Absolutely not. I don't listen to our podcast.
Donald.
Oh, my feelings.
My answer was Donald Duck.
Is it because he can produce the force of like several thousand suns?
That's not the only reason, but that was a factor. Yeah. I had a
Because he
couple of
can
reasons.
casually Zeta flare.
Yeah. That's not
I
the
mean,
only
he
reason, but
fucking
it's up there.
died, but you know, it's fine.
It's up there.
Yeah. And I've not really played any 3 classes, as I said. So like, you know, my opinions of them are based purely on me reading rules and theory crafting. So take them as you will.
Theory craft indeed. Anyway.
I'm gonna kill him. He's dead. He's fucking dead.
Actually-
I'm killing him.
Wait,
We're
side
like-
thing.
We're not even 20 minutes in.
So side thing, actually, I do want to bring up because like me and Sam and we're all DMs. How many sorcerers have you DM'd for? Because I only know of one, but there could be more.
I think I've DM'd for 3.
Do you remember what they were? I obviously one was the wild magic in our game.
Yeah, Nelson and Hayden.
Nelson.
I don't
yeah.
know who the third is.
So we've got Haven, Nelson, and then I believe in the campaign that lasted about 5 sessions and died as soon as Boog the Mighty showed up, had a wild magic sorcerer. I'd have to go check,
Yeah,
but
I
the
don't.
subclass was
I believe
was
you
Reen.
said that in episode 2.
I don't. That was a
I
while
can go
ago.
check.
Fuck if I remember.
it was many moons ago, if you will. But I can go check. In fact, I will.
All right. Well, that was the lightning round from Sam. Yeah. As far as the old 1 to 5, for me, I think Sorcerer is a solid 3. Sorcerer sits in the middle for me. I love playing, mighty magic warrior, fucking slinging spells. I am biased towards that play in pretty much everything. So Sorcerer automatically gets a bump up from that just because spellcasty boy. If Sorcerer was like some sort of weird like martial class, it'd probably drop to like a 2. But yeah, I think it sits in the 3 range for me, mostly because some subclasses good, some subclasses bad, some parts good, some parts bad, some weird complaints, and some weird design decisions.
All right, they literally didn't write down their subclass. But yeah, I've DM'd for 3 sorcerers.
Okay. And then
Good
as
on
far
them.
as the quintessential sorcerer thing, I don't have a good answer for this one. I had a really hard time trying to think of somebody who applies to the idea of a sorcerer in D&D terms. The best the best 2 answers I could think of, and neither of them are you could argue this is 3 answers. None of them particularly satisfying is Sypha in Castlevania or Trish and Yennefer in Witcher. Those are like the best I could think of.
I know we talked about this last time with the wizards, but so why do you specifically think Sypha is a sorcerer and not a wizard?
So my thing with Sypha is it kind of comes down to how she fights. First of all, this is not necessarily how a sorcerer works mechanically, but I always like the idea that a sorcerer shouldn't need a focus because their body is the focus because the power is coming from them, and that's literally what Sypha does in Castlevania, so there's that. Also, it's pretty clear that she pulls, she essentially does meta magic type shit, she'll throw a spell and then adjust the spell to meet her needs, constantly. And she also has that sort of overwhelming force of magical power thing going on. She's very clearly a battery cell of magical fuck you energy, but at the same time I also I'm aware that background wise she was taught and learned wizard style, and is sort of a big nerd, more so than a sorcerer generally is. So like it doesn't really line up, but she feels a little more sorcery than wizardy to me.
So what you're saying is she's either a multi-classer or she's a wizard that took the meta magic initiate feat.
I thought you were going to say took off her hat.
And took off her hat, exactly. Yeah,
I mean,
she didn't want people to know
She
she's a
did used
wizard.
to have a hat. Oh no, she had a hood. She never had a hood.
It's a hood. Yeah.
I don't like using the multi-class argument thing, but I guess you could kind of say that.
It's mostly for memes, but
I'm trying to think about it like I'm trying to take multi-classing out of the equation, because if you put multi-class in the equation, things get messy. So yeah, I don't know. And then obviously we talked a whole bunch about like Trish and Yennefer and The Witcher and how magic is in that setting and stuff. So we kind of already went through that, and it's like they're mostly sorcerers. So yeah, I don't really have a good strong answer on this one, because Sorcerer is kind of a weird thing. And then yes, I've played Sorcerer quite a bit. It's probably my most, well, it's not my most played, but it is getting close to my most played class. So I've played a decent, a good, I don't know, 20 to 30 some odd sessions on a Sorcerer right now. So
specifically
the one in the game we're playing, Matt.
for the audience.
We've talked about
Yeah,
Haven multiple times. Playing, what else? What other information do you need from me, Matt?
Oh, just say aberrant mind sorcerer. Jesus. what is wrong?
You were trying to fish for the subclass. Oh, you didn't.
Yes,
just say that. Just say which subclass.
Oh my god.
Yes, he's an aberrant mind. I didn't really think that was.
This is what it
relevant.
feels like to hang out with me. Oh my god.
Well, because you were like
I get
you were like fishing for an answer, but not getting. I was like, what? I don't. Anyway, yes, he's an aberrant mind sorcerer. If anyone cares about like the specific subclass. Sheesh. Anyway,
Yeah.
who wants to go next?
Did I ever say my quintessential sorcerer?
Oh no,
I think
you
I
didn't. Good point.
No,
I think
no, you
so.
didn't.
Do you have someone that came to mind?
Okay, all right. Isaiah, I have a question for you.
Was good in
it's
the hoodie.
about to be a fake character.
I'm
All right,
scared.
listen here, bud.
I knew it.
I had a feeling.
Because I had a very serious question, because this has more to do with the lore than anything else. Would you consider magecraft to be more like sorcery or more like being a wizard?
He talked about this last time.
We did. So I would say it's more wizardry, because you don't need magic circuits to do magecraft. It's just really unsafe if you do magecraft with no magic circuits.
Okay, so what about a person who has reached the root?
I would just say that they don't even have levels anymore. You just get a CR. You just become a CR 30.
Just get a CR.
It's straight up, because like he's right. When you reach the root, your power just becomes your imagination and how badly you want. Like you become Sypha, right? Like your ability becomes your intent on the reality around you. So. Yeah, I would say you just don't. You lose you don't have a class anymore.
You don't have a class anymore? All right,
No.
because I was thinking about Velrich, because he's like the Rin's master.
Yeah, Keisher.
Yeah, I just used the name that he more commonly goes by.
I'm sorry, I had to say his first name because it's really dumb.
Yep.
Keisher Zeltrich.
So like he's
Me and Matt
he's
are
like-
sitting over here chomping popcorn right now, like,
I'm just saying that. I'm like, I have so many questions.
Don't ask.
okay. So the thing
Just
is
let it
that
rock.
he
Oh,
he
here it
has
comes.
true magic, right? Which is basically more like sorcery in Fate than wizardry. Because it's just yours now. You just have this power. You just do whatever you want with it, and you can pass it down your like biologically. So it's more akin to the dragon line of sorcery than anything else. Magecraft is more learned.
All right. That's less confusing than I thought it would be.
It
If
usually
you
is
listen
his
to
fate.
me, yeah, seriously. If you just listen to the words I'm saying instead of going, all right, I've checked out, you're fine.
It's not my fault. I have a short attention span. I need bright colors and flashing lights.
I
As
will
long
get
as
you
Sam
your
doesn't,
bright light.
as
I
long
need
as he doesn't
jingle
break out the
keys in front.
whiteboard, we'll be good.
Listen, I will. Okay, look, I will get a camera set up so we can put the whiteboard up. Okay, and then I'll have keys jingling in the side so that you always have keys to look at. Will that help?
Thank you. Yes. It
Okay.
would.
All right. Good.
My God.
Alrighty then. Isaiah,
Yeah.
you want to take it away?
Sure. So I'm probably also gonna have to give Sorcerer 3. I am not a massive fan of I love the idea of Sorcerer and I like the idea of the mechanics of Sorcerer. I just feel like I want more out of it, kind of across the board. And we'll talk about that more later. I know that's part of like the questions. But yeah, no, I kind of just want more out of it. Have I played a Sorcerer? Yes, interestingly. Yes, asterisk.
Oh.
I have played other people's sorcerers for them.
I mean, yeah, it'd be like that sometimes.
I've played a sorcerer in the same sorcerer in 2 different one-shots. But yeah, it was a lot of players being absent, and I just become the designated Jaeger for everybody. So it's just like, okay, well, sorry, this character's not here. Okay, can you play her character sheet? I'm like, yeah, don't worry, bud. I can figure this out. It's not going to be that hard.
So you would say you haven't necessarily played Sorcerer. You've sort of dabbled.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, this will sort of go into what I said the last few times, where like I probably don't have a good enough grasp on the class in general to be like, I can break it down mathematically, here it goes. But I have played it enough to sort of like try to get experimental with the meta magics and see how they can like be manipulated. But yeah, no.
You've played it enough to have a little bit of an idea.
Mhm.
Fair enough. Who's your quintessential?
I think you'll find my quintessential sorcerer to be Emperor Palpatine.
No, I think it's Palpatine. I straight up think it's Palpatine.
Hold on, wait. Are you memeing?
No, I'm being so dead serious. I think it's Palpatine.
To be fair, on my list for like,
All right,
you know
hold
how
on,
I get extra ideas of Jedi's, like Sith, like I put that on there as well.
America explain.
No. I see where he's coming from.
Where are you
though.
going?
I get it.
Why
I
is
get
it
it.
not? Why is it not Dark Kansas?
That one I cannot explain to you.
On the most canon lore of Star Wars, you have to be born with Force sensitivity, right? Like you need like a certain limit to even be remotely Force sensitive. Palpatine has that in spades. His whole thing is overwhelming power. He can like, you know, you can read up on techniques for things to use with the Force, but he's not doing anything particularly complex other than, you know, spell eye cup. Here's the lightning. You know what I mean?
I don't even know how to spell it.
I don't even know how to spell it.
But yeah,
Raise his hands, base boost, lightning.
Okay.
So much midichlorians.
Oh no, he brought the science into it.
I really, you know, I was definitely not expecting you to say Palpatine. Does he like meta magic though?
Probably hide and spell like a motherfucker.
Yeah, I'd say he heightens spells a lot, and he definitely uses subtle spell, because he somehow played an entire Order of Jedi for 20 years.
Yeah, no, I got. Yeah.
I mean,
I like to subtle spell mass suggestion.
you know, I'm trying to find a hole in this, but All right.
Did I get it? Did I get it? Is his Palpatine the quintessential sorcerer?
I mean,
It might be one of them.
I feel like this gets into this
Star
gets
Wars is
into
just full of sorcerers with space swords.
right, but like
using
this
space
gets into,
magic.
Okay, here's the problem.
Ah.
Yes, but I feel like we're getting into the weird realm of, is the Force magic? I
Yes.
don't know if
Yes,
I'm ready to
100%.
unpack. I don't know if I'm ready to unpack that.
100%.
No, because
they
there's
use space magic and they're space samurai,
just-
and it's
I don't
Thank
wanna,
you, Sam.
I don't want to unpack
God.
this situation right now.
we're turning into a Star Wars podcast.
I don't have time to
Alright.
get into whether Star
All
Wars
right,
is
why
magic or
Anakin
not.
was correct to kill the younglings in episode 3.
I mean,
Matt, please answer the questions 3 before we get into game.
the questions.
Oh my god.
Fuck. Let's see. So, I can't believe you guys all gave Sorcerer 3. I'm so disappointed in you because I also gave a Sorcerer 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great
It
minds
really do
think
be like
alike.
that, don't it?
And my honestly, kind of like what you guys said. There's some things I like about Sorcerer. Honestly, one of the biggest things with Sorcerer is I fucking love the flavoring of Sorcerer of
Same.
the arcane caster, born with innate magical powers. Your magic comes from within, and you have to learn to control the innate magic, or else you'll explode.
Same.
It's fucking cool. Some of the abilities don't fit that. Some do.
You know,
And some of the subclasses are very cool. Some of them are okay.
I think a lot of the sorcerer subclasses though could be pretty easily fixed. Like a lot of them are close-ish, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I again, and I think I said this in one of the other handbook or cast, whatever class book, whatever we're calling this. I keep
Handbook,
confusing it.
Matt. Handbook, as in
That
like
thing.
player's handbook.
Yes. So
Oh
that
my
thing.
god.
Yeah, I'm bad at this.
The wizard talk. Just say the wizard talk. It's fine.
So I have a
what-
question. All right. If you don't have hands, how are you supposed to use a handbook?
You don't.
Sam, we haven't gotten into the monkey feet yet. Come on, give me a little moment, and I'll bring it up.
Talk about monkey feet.
No. That'll be later. Don't worry. I haven't forgotten.
Anyway.
This time. Anywho, so yeah, and I think, I guess, have I played the class? Yes. I'm gonna say yes and no. Like yes, but only really for 2 sessions. It was a
So like me with fucking wizard.
yeah. So way in the Wayback Machine, before I joined Storm King's Thunder, so literally 4 years ago, me and Joe were trying to join a random Roll20. We were trying to see if we can be players together, and so we were just joining random Roll20 games to like find another group, so that way he and I can be players. And we joined a game, and we joined a session, and I was like, I want to make a like, oh, wouldn't it be real cool if like I was a draconic tiefling, like I was like half dragon, half devil man, but I was a stupid mage. And the game didn't really work out too well because there was a lot of like, we joined a random game that was ongoing for a while, and the players in the game were constantly arguing with each other, and a lot of them were kind of like taking over the DM's like control mid-session, and me and Joe were like, yeah, no, this is not for us.
This ain't it, Chief.
Yeah.
So you started and then it was just no bad game.
It was bad game. Not bad. I mean, and to be fair, I didn't really write like, I was just like, yeah, I don't know. He's, he has dragon blood in him, but he's also a devil. Who knows? That's probably bad. And then
That's probably bad.
off I went, casting spells and shit. So I didn't really like think too deeply on this character.
Fair enough.
But
Fair enough. So,
but I did get into
no,
combat.
not really. Is
I mean, I did get into combat and was able to use some of the meta magic, kind of like Isaiah was saying. Like, I got to play with the meta magic enough, but the group was there was too much infighting and stuff to go on that me and Joe did not want to stay.
yeah, that's a good reason.
And for the quintessential sorcerer, so it's weird because I don't feel like this. I mean, you can kind of bend some of the subclasses to fit this character, but I think Raven from DC Comics, the Teen Titans, which is funny that, like, thinking back now, it's like every character that I've picked for these quintessentials has been some sort of comic book character, and this is the first DC one. because the other two were fucking Marvel characters.
I didn't even think about Raven, which is funny because I really love Raven Teen Titans.
Same. I like both the cartoon and in the comics and some of the some other media. Like I think it's weird because a lot of people, you can make arguments that's like, oh no, she's a warlock, or oh no, she's a wizard, but it's like she's born of a human and a demon. Trigun, they call Trigun a demon, even though he's kind of like a devil. If you want to like put it in 5e terms,
most people do not give a fuck about that distinction.
I know. I'm just clarifying. You know, she's got innate magic from Trigun, but she learned how to learn her magic and learn how to control her magic and her emotions on Azarath, and the training. And this is one thing I really like about the whole sorcerer flavoring and their reason of like learning. Like sorcerers can learn magic. They can do the thing like wizard, but with sorcerers specifically, it's about learning to control their emotions, learning to control the magic, so they either don't burn themselves out, they don't hurt others, because their magic, and one of the things with 5e specifically with sorcerers, their magic is stronger. It's like the wizard has a million spells.
Supposed to be stronger.
Supposed to be strong. Well, we can get into that later.
Yeah.
But like with Raven, it's her training was to control the influence of Trigun and to control her emotions so that he doesn't take over. So it's like one of those things I really like of the flavoring of Sorcerer. And then as for like what subclass she would be, I don't know, man. It's like a weird mix of a bunch, like Shadow and maybe just Wild, or if you want to reflavor the Dragon one and Devil Magic and shit. Like, I don't know. Like,
I have not been trying to stick subclasses on anybody because I feel like that's nigh impossible and just not worth the headache.
Right, but I mostly, just because the fit like D&D media, like, kind of thing, if you wanted to go that far. But I don't know. I think Raven's a good example, at least in my mind.
Yeah, I didn't even consider Raven, but I think Raven works pretty well.
Yeah. And then actually, just for as a quickie, like 3.5 question, I've DM'd a lot of sorcerers. Yeah, so there's the player who's the paladin, divine soul sorcerer, hexblade. I had another character who, this is my buddy Joe, who was originally a shadow sorcerer, then went into warlock, then went back into aberrant mind sorcerer with his character. So I've had many different sorcerers with him, and then also we had a guest character for a good couple months in our campaign. One of my friends, Chris's friends, and he played a wild magic sorcerer. And I have a story about him rolling the 1 or the 0. I think it's 1 on the wild magic table, which is the whole, you roll this table at the start of each of your turns for the next minute, ignoring the 1 during combat. So it was great.
Amazing.
What? Hold on.
Yeah, if you roll a 1
on this table
on
at the
wild
start
magic
of
table,
each of your turns for the next minute, ignoring this result on subsequent roll. Oh,
yeah.
Oh my.
So during combat, every 6
my.
seconds, he rolled, and I have the list of like everything he got here. If you guys want me to like,
yes, please.
Yeah.
Please.
So the first one was that he turned himself blue.
Okay.
So he was just like, all right, that's a bit weird. Then afterwards, he turned into a potted plant.
I love it. The classic.
Then he cast fireball on himself.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And took a fuck ton of damage.
Speed running the good ones.
Yep. And then after that, the next one was he has to shout when he speaks for the next minute. The other one was he glows brightly in a 30-foot radius for the next minute, which annoyed the shit out of the Shadow Monk character because it literally ruined his whole shtick.
Yep. As you do.
And then the last one was cast fly on a random creature within 60 feet. What happened to be one of the bad guys who flew off to the boss and was like, hey, yo, there's some invaders here.
I love this.
Oh my god. This is why I cannot stand the Wild Magic Sorcerer.
No, it was amazing. It was so hard to run the game because everybody was laughing the whole time.
I was gonna say that sounded like a sales pitch for Wild Magic.
It's great.
Remember
Honestly,
the time that Nelson rolled his first spell and then immediately turned into a potted plant?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
so good.
Good times.
It's fun. Like I think the randomness it makes it funny. Yes, I could see people getting annoyed with like, oh, I just cast Fireball and killed everybody. And it's like, yeah, there's that. But like, you can always like switch that out and talk to your DM about it. Where it's like, can we take out the ones that will just like kill me? Can we like have everything else, but like maybe switch it out with something else? Like,
again, I feel like part of the problem with the Wild Magic is less so the Wild Magic table itself, and more so that you as a player do not have any control over when it gets tapped. Right? I think that's the big crux, you know? Because if you're picking the Wild Magic subclass, presumably you want to roll on the Wild Magic table, you want to have the wacky woohoo shit happen. The problem is you don't always want to have the wacky woohoo shit happen, and sometimes you do want to have the wacky woohoo shit happen. But rules as written, you as a player have zero control over that. And I think that's one of the big problems. I think that is the big problem with Wild Magic, at least for me. Like, I don't have a problem with the table itself, but the fact that it's like, I don't get to decide when it comes into play is kind of shitty, you know? The GM just points at me from on high and goes, roll, bitch. And you're like, I wasn't really ready, but okay, here we go, you know?
right. It's one of those things that like, as a player and DM, you guys talk about in the beginning of the game. I know for me personally, just because like, I don't want to have to make the decision.
Right, exactly.
And
That's
I
the
think
other
my
thing.
players like rolling, like they like deciding when to roll. I think me and like the guest player, he was literally like, "Can I just roll anytime I cast a first level spell?" I'm like, "Sure, yeah, fuck it." And now that's my like new rule. And I'm like, "Yeah, anytime you cast a spell first level higher, roll on
I don't
table."
know if I would necessarily.
Because players like rolling. Everyone likes rolling dice.
So
Chaos.
I don't know exactly how I
chaos.
would do it, right? But yes, you are right, Matt, in that as the DM, a lot of the time it's like I don't want to have to like remember, or I don't want to put the onus on me, right? That is part of the problem. I also don't like the idea of necessarily every time I roll a first level spell. The way I would work it, although I don't know, this is a concept, right? This would require a little bit of tweaking, but. So they have their tides of the sorcerer has the Wild Magic sorcerer has the tides of chaos ability, right? Which is you can give yourself advantage on anything, and then you have to finish a long rest to use it again. With the exception that if your DM has you roll on the Wild Magic Surge table, you get the tides of chaos ability back.
Right.
So what I would want is some sort of retooling of the Tides of Chaos ability combined with the Wild Magic so that I can say I would like to, because the thing about the Wild Magic is I want to feel more powerful because I'm this like wellspring of uncontrollable magic. So I want to be able to tap into that wellspring, but there's a risk. You know, the reward, I get advantage or more damage or whatever it is. The risk, you have to roll and potentially activate a Wild Surge. And the more you keep using that ability, the Tides of Chaos or the equivalent thereof, the more times you keep using it, the more likelihood that the chance of you're going to activate a Wild Surge effect goes up. That's how I want it to work. That's what I think is a good like compromise. It's the most fun. And that way, if you're in a situation where everyone's just going to get really mad at you if the Wild Magic table, goes off, then you can just not. You can just be like, all right, I just won't, I'll just let it go. Because rolling for every spell is okay, but it's still going to be that situation where sometimes you're like, man, I really, really did not want to deal with it right now. You know what I mean? But Isaiah, I heard a noise.
Yes. So I was thinking about this. I feel like, well, not even I feel like, I don't like Tides of Chaos. I think it's boring.
Because it's just advantage.
It's just advantage, yeah, and it is technically a 1 use a day item,
Right. See, that's
Unless
why. Well, that's why I was saying I would retool it. I would change the way it works. In the hypothetical I was describing, I would adjust Tides of Chaos as well as the Wild Magic Surge stuff. Because I agree. Just advantage is maybe not the most exciting thing.
So what I would want is for something similar to the Wrath and Glory Unbound Magic system that they have. And I know that people are like, what you talking about, Willis? So Psychers and in 40k Wrath and Glory can use an ability called like Casting Unbound, which just supercharges your spell but increases the risk of like something called Perils of the Warp, which is basically wild magic, right? Like, oh, like screams deafen everyone, your pants fall down, you grow a third asshole or something, just random nonsense. That can be pretty bad. Like if you fuck up real bad, you're summoning like a whole ass demon. But I would kind of want it like that, right? Like, so let's say Tides of Chaos is like, you can add a number of like a modifier equal to, let's say, your proficiency modifier, right? But every time you do it, you have to roll that many number of dice to see if you proc your wild magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an idea.
So, like, you start off at 2, you're rolling twice, no matter what. And you're like, all right, that's not so bad. And yeah, it could probably be a little broken, because maybe you can extend the Tides of Chaos farther, and you can add it to your damage. Maybe you, on a reaction, can increase your save DC, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it should have multiple options for sure.
And I kind of like, I don't mind that you're losing, like, because you could argue that it gets objectively worse as you go later on in levels, right? Because you're going to be rolling more and more. But like at that point, you have the health and abilities to survive 90% of the bullshit that it sends at you. So it's fine.
I mean, yeah. I also feel like Sorcerer should have the ability to just beef their damage. Like, I think something that's kind of disappointing about Sorcerer, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but part of what I kind of want, like when I first looked at Sorcerer, what I was thinking and was hoping was that, Sorcerer is the caster that is like the damage hose of the full casters, right? Sorcerer can do more damage than the others. That's kind of their thing because they're this like overwhelming font of magical energy. But they don't really have that many. They have like little things here and there that boost a little bit of their damage, but that's not really like, I almost kind of wanted Sorcerer to have some sort of like sneak attack type thing or like a divine smite type thing, but for their spells. Maybe not that much damage, but like that kind of idea, right? Like that's their shtick. And yeah, something like Tides of Chaos, I could totally see being like, if you tap the Tides of Chaos table, double your damage dice for your spell, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then roll on the Wild Magic Surge and stuff. I think there's lots of ways to do it, which is funny because I think we can all agree that the way they implemented it as is maybe one of the worst ways you could have done it.
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot. I wonder if they would have kept it the same had they built Wild Magic now. No,
I don't think. In fact, I think when we get 5 EE Turbo Ultimax Suplex Super Edition, we will indeed get a rework on Wild Magic, and I do not think it will work anything like it does now. Because, yeah, there's no way they would design it the same. I'd be flabbergasted.
I see, because I have a feeling as well, but I don't know if they will change it significantly enough for me to like rethink
maybe
playing Wild Magic Sorcerer.
Yeah, that's a possible. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know, Sam or Matt. I wasn't expecting to go into the Wild Magic thing so quickly, but I knew it would come up. Sam or Matt, do you have any strong opinions on how you might make it work so that you like it more? Or do you think it needs a fundamental from the ground up type thing?
I think that really what Wild Magic needs is honestly a higher chance to roll on the table every time that you've like ever rolled on it. until you hit it, and then it resets. Because
Right, so the thing I was talking about where you keep tapping your power, the chance goes up.
pretty much, because it's like it feels like you can go forever without proccing it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Even if your DM is like, "Hey, roll on the magic table."
yeah, right, because it's only a
Yeah, 'cause
one on a d20.
Roll.
One on a d20, so it's like
Uh-huh.
I don't know, Sam math.
It's
what's the
5%.
percent? 5%. Thank you. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, thank you. Or you could have just said 1 in 20.
Well, I wanted a percentage.
I knew Matt wanted the percentage. I knew what he was getting at.
Either way,
Eh.
you know, it should be higher. And
But-
you know,
but
people
my
will come out of the woodwork and be like, "Hey, you know, the chance of you rolling not a 1, you know, every time, you know, it decreases." And it's like, I'm going to come out here and tell you that probability is a lie.
All right, I don't want to. Oh, God. Why do you? This comes up so often with you, Tim.
Because probability is a lie.
This is your
People
eternal
try to math things out too much, and it's like, no, it literally is just chance.
So my question here, though, is Sam. So you're saying you should, the chance should go
It's just-
up, but
the
what is
chance
your
should go up.
reward though? Because if the
What is
risk
your
is going
reward?
up, you need a reward. I feel
I mean,
like what would you give
fun
them
times.
More
you
table
get
stuff.
nothing.
other than that?
Oh.
You get nothing. I mean, what I would say is instead of making it on spellcast, I would probably change it to using sorcery points to trigger it. So that
that'd be
there's
cool.
a risk reward system versus I cast spell. There's a risk every time I
But
cast a
would
spell.
you make the sorcery point spending better in some fashion because you're tapping into the wild magic energy?
Yeah, I would say it probably like it would depend on what you use, but like it could be like, so if you're a wild magic sorcerer and I mean extended spell is not a good one unless you're going for something very specific. Hold on, let me look at the meta magic
Empowered
table.
spell.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna look at meta magic real quick. Just bring it up for
Yeah,
myself.
because there's nothing that really like with the meta magics themselves, which I like most of the meta magics, but like I do kind of wish there was something like, you know, it says empowered spell. You think empowered
Yeah,
spell?
no,
it's like,
I
that
fucking
must make
mad.
my damage nuts. And it's like, no, you just reroll up to your charisma modifier.
Matt, I
And I'm
literally
like,
wrote
well,
that down as a note because I hate empowered spells so
Yeah.
much.
I
It's
mean,
like-
so I would say that empowered spell, it would probably increase the damage minimum.
Okay.
So like if you roll anything below 4 on a die, it
you
just
can't-
becomes 4
yeah.
instead.
Okay.
Like you just can't. So it'd be something like that for empowered spell, or like
What was that goblin ability, the Fury of the Small? What if it just did your level and damage to
That's
spells?
an
and
option. You could do your
Yeah.
proficiency in damage, your level in damage.
Yeah.
You could add your charisma modifier in damage. You could say add another die on top of your damage die roll, so you get at least
Twin
1 point of more
spell
damage. There's so
can
many
affect
other
more
ways they could have done
people.
empowered spell.
Yeah, a twin spell can affect more people. You know, just make the meta magic a little bit better if you're a wild magic sorcerer.
I'm down
the
for
risk
that idea.
reward.
Yeah. Also,
Again,
the new one from Tasha's too, the transmute spell, the one where it's like you can change the damage type.
yeah.
And then they list the very like, you know, acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder.
Yeah.
It's like, why not to any damage type except obviously, you know, piercing, slashing, bludgeoning. Like, if I'm a wild magic sorcerer,
Because
let me dip into the magic. Yeah, I know.
Because fuck you,
I
man.
know.
That's why I don't know.
I know, but like that's what I'm like. Let me tie into the chaos and let me just.
Oh, I know. I agree.
Like that should be a thing for sorcerers, like the ability to just change. There's and obviously there's the whole where I could just homebrew fireball and call it ice ball. And it's like, yeah, I know, motherfucker, but like, come on,
not-
like
yeah, it's not-
a sorcerer should be able to just do that stuff.
Again, I find it very funny that all three. Well, Matt hasn't. Matt said he just has the table roll at every time first level spells cast. But like, each of us has posited a different option for how wild magic could be done, and every single one of them sounds better than the way it is.
Meanwhile, Wizard of the Coast, Jeremy Crawford listening, haha, I don't think I will. Ignores all everyone's suggestions.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where I'm like, I might not agree with what everyone said, but each of us had a different idea, and they all sound a little bit better. And Man, wild magic is and it sucks too because I love the fictional concept of a wild magic sorcerer is so good.
And that
You know
and
what's
that's
better
one,
at wild magic than sorcerer?
what?
Barbarian.
I mean,
I
that's
knew
good
it.
too. I do also like wild magic barbarian. But yeah, I mean, Matt, you said the rolling on the every time you cast a level 1 spell, but like, how would you also? Because I think the big thing has to be the risk reward, right? If you're rolling more on that wild magic surge table, you got to make it kind of worth it. So how would you make it worth it?
Honestly, like the players that they want to play, like I got to talk to Joe about this because in our Strixhaven game, he specifically wants to play a wild magic sorcerer going to Strixhaven. So I'm trying to think of like a bunch of different ideas, but like, I mean, again, you're getting to roll on the table. It's part of your class feature. Like I feel like that's enough. Wanting to roll more on the table, I feel like it's like that's the juice that players want. So I don't really need to like enhance it or do anything.
Well, the problem is the table's kind of a punishment, though. So there has to be
yes
a
and
reward
no.
attached to it.
Not really, because again, like a lot of things in 5e, the wild magic table has some good things, some bad things, some okay things. Like, it depends.
Yeah,
It's not all like, and
but you
yeah,
can't
I do think
control it. So it's
right,
like,
but that's the point. So you don't know if it's bad, you don't know if it's good. So that's why like allowing the players to roll on the table whenever they want, and again, chaos. Let's see what happens. It could be good. It could be bad.
I'm not saying remove the chaos. I'm just saying I feel like tapping into the chaos, you should get a little nugget of something for tapping the chaos.
I agree because I just like.
But Matt is correct in that some of the effects can be beneficial. Like I just saw like there's one that was like I just scrolled past it.
You become invisible for the next minute.
Yeah, or like, the one I saw where it was like you three creatures you choose within 30 feet of you take 4d10 lightning damage. So like, you know, there are some that are good. So
yeah.
They are just so. My problem is that I disagree with people like there's no reason to make it better. I agree. I don't think you need to change the list. I just think that because the table can do potentially so little that it's not anything. Like yes, you know, a Modron appears within 5 feet of you for a minute. That Modron can just do nothing, just straight up nothing. Mm-hmm. Or your height
if you're bad
changes.
DM, like what the fuck?
Well, because you know that's that thing where it's like it doesn't tell you what the Modron does. Like I don't really blame the GM for being like I don't know what to do with this.
Well, that's when they read the Modron, like, you know, what is a Modron? What do they do? And then
that's kind of
from
a pain
there,
in the
it's
ass,
kind
though,
of
if you're trying to do that mid-session.
It is, but like it's not that bad, especially if it's
We're DMs. We ad lib all the time.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll ad lib stuff, but
improvisation.
I don't want to have to look up Modron stat block.
That's
you know,
unfortunate.
and read the Modron lore in the middle of a session like that if I don't know it, you know.
Well, for me, it's not middle of the session. That's a problem. It's middle of combat. That would be a problem.
Sure.
Because that could just halt combat for like a few good minutes while you figure out what the fuck this Modron does.
That's the point. Spider-Man.
Hilarious.
No, I
think
don't
it'd be
think that
hilarious
is.
if you're fighting the big bad and then just a Modron appears and you're like,
No.
and
Yeah,
he's like, hello, what is going on here? And you're like, hi, and the big bad's like, the fuck did that?
I'm so confused. What is that? Points that tiny robot on the floor.
I mean, that's all fine and good, but it like if you have like a certain idea for like the pacing of a moment and then a Modron appears and you're like, well, what do I do with this? That can be a little weird and it can sort of kill the flow. And it's not even just that one. Like going back to the whole, it can do nothing.
I would like a little guidance on if the Modron is like friendly or not. That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see something like that then.
Just
like,
a little bit, like a line or two.
Yeah, or it's just like, you know, your hair falls out but grows back in 24 hours. That doesn't do anything. And while I understand that, you know, flavor is its own thing and you can find your own enjoyment out of that, hell, I do that. But if the class's whole thing is based on this flavor, and that's sort of about it. Like, it's all about rolling on this table, and this table can do practically nothing at times.
But it can do a
bothers the
lot
shit out of
at
me.
other times is the argument.
Yeah, but yes, but again, considering how little it happens and what the amount of work you'd have to do to make it happen more, and even then, it probably still isn't going to happen a whole lot.
I mean,
Because if
it's not that much more work. We all just proposited a bunch of potential ideas that weren't
We
that much
did.
harder.
we did, but you'd still have to roll a natural 1 on those.
Well, that's why go back to what me and Sam were saying, where every time it happens, the next subsequent time the chance goes up.
That works, I suppose. But
maybe
it just-
maybe you add more dice, maybe you add a modifier. Like there's a maybe every time you roll the d20 you do a negative modifier until eventually you get to a negative 19, and so it's like you have to roll a 1 or whatever,
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose I want the
spitballing here.
wild
This
magic
isn't-
table to not be a main feature, but an expanded side effect. Like I don't.
Nah, that I
Really-
don't agree with.
Yeah. What, you want the D10,000 table? We can go get
I
it.
just like. I want the wild magic sorcerer to have a bunch of shit that pertains to wild magic, but I don't want it to always lead back to the table. I want the table to happen because other things are happening. I kind of want it to act like warp fuckery, right?
I'm not
Like,
really. I don't. How else would you wait? Okay,
like
wait.
controlled chaos. You get a model of control of your wild magic. You roll twice. Take either number.
Uh-huh.
Fuck that. I get that out of here. I don't care. I want it gone. It doesn't do anything. That's a waste of a feature.
I don't think it is.
I could see it being something where, because I also agree I don't like controlled chaos. I'd rather, if it was there, let me pick what number then. Let me pick what, whatever on the wild magic table and be like, all right, I want to be invisible right now.
I think that's
Or
too
I need to
strong.
cast fire. That might be, well then make it the capstone for wild magic, being like, I finally have
could see.
mastered wild magic.
That would be a cool capstone.
Because I kind of agree with, I think I was watching the new Critical Role talk show they do, and Taliesin Jaffe was talking about wild magic barbarians. And one of the things with wild magic in general is, for D&D, the higher level you get, the more control over wild magic you get. And I kind of agree with him where it's like, no, I want less control.
Wait,
So,
but you just posited more control.
I know I did. That's why I'm saying, like, if controlled chaos was a thing, I'd rather be let me pick it. But if I was like making a wild magic sorcerer class, I want more like like you guys kind of were saying, like the chance of rolling on the table to be higher. The things that happen are more chaotic. Like the abilities, not like bad luck, and it's like I get to choose, and it's like I don't want to choose. Let me roll more clickety clacks to do more clickety clacks.
So so Matt, I'm going to
Hey.
combine two things for you. All right. So you get to roll more dice, but you also get to pick. You roll the die,
Right?
you get a result, and then you also pick another result.
Isn't that what the thing? Isn't that what controlled chaos is right now?
No,
Is it?
no, you roll
Yeah, just-
twice and pick whatever number you want.
Yeah.
You have to
No,
roll
you
low.
you roll one, you get that result, but you also pick a result.
Oh, Sam's saying you
table.
get both.
You get both.
Oh, get both at the
Sam's
same
saying
time?
you roll and choose.
Sick. That'd be cool. Actually, I
That
like that.
is woo.
So you get the benefit of picking, but you also
Get the chaos.
get the chaos. So you did controlled chaos. Wow.
Yeah,
That
I just-
is
Nice. It's like, go, Jeremy. I cast fly
Interesting.
on you, my friend, and then all of a sudden cast
Also, I
fireball on
fireball
self.
myself.
Oh no! Oh no! My concentration's broken.
you know what it is? I think I've worked it out. My biggest problem with wild magic is I look at this subclass and go, that's it. That's it. Okay. I think that's it. That's my problem. That's.
I mean,
There's a lot of
Same
potential. Like, that's
I
the
don't.
thing.
I don't
There's a-
think there's
or-
anything inherently wrong basing a subclass though around one like really core mechanic. Battle
problem
master
is that-
maneuvers are essentially that.
The problem is that the mechanic isn't much of a mechanic.
I don't don't know if I'd put it like that. It's
like, so here's my thing. Whenever you ask people, why do you pick Wild Magic Sorcerer? And you're like, it's for the crazy. And then you go, yeah, but what does it do though? And it's like, it's crazy. It's like, okay, but what does it do though? Doesn't really do anything unique. There's no, like, beside the table,
it doesn't really have any distinct
but I think,
abilities, you're saying.
But I think that's the thing. The table is the gimmick. Every subclass has a gimmick. That's the point of the subclass.
Yeah.
The table is the gimmick for the Wild Magic Sorcerer.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's okay to have the table be the gimmick. I don't think that's necessarily bad. I mean, if every sorcerer subclass worked like that might be an issue, but I think having one that functions like that is not a big deal. I mean, we're not changing Isaiah's mind on this. I've heard him talk about this many times.
I complain about this a lot. I really don't like this subclass.
Which I think is funny because you've never shown any interest in playing Sorcerer anyway, so I don't know why. I'm surprised you have such a strong opinion on it.
What do you mean? I talk about Aberrant Mind a lot. Every time I talk about remaking Luca, I'm like, yeah, Aberrant Mind.
Yeah, can we talk about Aberrant Mind for a little? I mean, I don't know how many of the Sorcerer subclasses you guys actually want to get into, but can we talk about Aberrant Mind and how, like...
Hold on, because there's a couple of... We'll get there. Okay, hold on. This is just a random side thought that I've, like, had way back in my noggin. I mean, unless anybody has anything really pertinent to add on the wild magic thing, but I feel like we paired that one out pretty good. Is the Avatar a sorcerer?
I thought they were like a monk or...
Are they though?
The way, I mean, if you read the flavor of the text of the Way of the Four Elements monk, it's supposed to be the Avatar, but it's not.
Think about it for a second though. Is the Avatar a sorcerer? Like, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. They've got that kind of innate overflowing power that they have to learn to control, and like they can manipulate it in different ways. Like, right?
I'm sensing a pattern where I'm just going to go. No, I think they're a druid.
All right, I'm not. Sam, any strong opinions?
No, I think they're a monk.
Okay.
It's the whole enlightenment thing that really does it.
Yeah. Again, they're a Way of the Four Elements monk that just took the meta magic feat, and there you go. And that's what all they are.
I mean, do they even use meta magic though?
Kinda. Like, I mean, yes and no. Yes and no.
What if I want to change my fire bending into lightning damage?
Well, yeah, right.
Oh,
that's
wait,
the thing,
I can
right?
now.
Yeah, you kind of adjust the
but like
bending
people
and stuff.
can do that already. Like that's not an inherently
no, we don't talk about
monk thing. That's just
specifically
right. No,
specifically monk.
It's not. It's not inherently. I get what you're saying. I don't know. I just had that random. That thought was deep in the recesses, and I was like, I don't.
But Aberrant Mind, though.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have some sort of? Is something bothering you about Aberrant Mind?
Oh, I just want to gush over it. It's fucking great.
All right.
It's good. It's
as the person honestly, playing the Aberrant Mind right now.
Yeah.
It's fun. Some good stuff. I do have a little bit of beef with its first ability.
Oh.
Why?
So the telepathic speech, I get it. It's, you have sort of innate mind speaking. The problem is my thing is like, it's only 30 feet away and it only lasts for 5 minutes. Or no, sorry, it only lasts for minutes equal to your sorcerer level. And it I don't know. I just wanted a little bit more out of the first level ability. Maybe I'm being unreasonable because it's the first level ability, but like...
No, I don't think you're being unreasonable at all. It shouldn't have a time limit.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think the timer... Because so... As a bonus action, you choose a creature within 30 feet of you. You and the chosen creature can speak telepathically with one another. With each other, while the two of you are within a number of miles equal to your charisma modifier. To understand each other, you must speak mentally in a language the other knows. That one, I'm like, maybe you should be able to speak beyond language barriers, but it is level 1, so I could kind of see the argument of no, you have to have the same language. But yeah, and then the telepathic connection lasts for a number of minutes equal to your sorcerer level. It ends early if you're incapacitated or die or use the ability to form a connection with another creature. I'm fine with the another connection thing. You don't necessarily have to do it with multiple. That's not a big deal. But yeah, I think the time limit is really the thing that bugs. I'm even okay with the range limiter of like a number of miles. That's fine. But yeah, the fact that like I'm level 5, so it ends in 5 minutes, and if they're not within 30 feet of me, I can't re-up it. That feels a little eh.
You know what's funny? I'm reading the Awakened Mind feature from the Great Old One Warlock, and it literally is like, you can telepathically speak to any creature within 30 feet of you. You don't need to share a language for the creature to understand you.
There you go.
But the creature must be able to understand at least one language. That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah,
Which is weird with the like with the sorcerer. It's like, but I could do it as a bonus action, so mine's better. And it's like,
So basically, the continued saga of WotC hates sorcerers.
Yeah. Look, I know we established that WotC is apparently a thing, but it still throws me for a loop anytime I hear anyone
Wizards
say
hate sorcerers.
my brain just goes.
Why don't you
what?
What? Why? I
let's
don't
not,
understand
Matt. Let's not get into this right now.
No. Hold on. I literally have never heard anyone but Josh refer to it as WotC, and it's like, actually, I do know why it bothers me. So there's this thing called ROTC, all right, which is basically our high school way of turning people into officers for the military. And some people call it ROTC. And I've never
I've never heard that. I've heard of ROTC. I've never heard of ROTC.
Yeah, so so the thing is that most people who call it ROTC are the people who have been through it. So I've it breaks my brain whenever I hear someone say anything that reminds me of that.
Because I think most of my experience with anyone saying WotC for Wizards of the Coast has been on like the Acquisitions Incorporated PAX panels, or when I'm watching a D&D YouTube video and they specifically say here at WotC, and I'm like, okay.
I feel like a lot of YouTube.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
I also played Magic like forever. And we
Yeah,
just call
yeah,
them
yeah.
wizards, so that helps too.
I'm in the same court as Sam, where I've only heard people started saying WotC in like the last 3 weeks, and it is jarring to say the least.
Yeah. Throws me for a loop.
Actually, fuck. Before, again, going back with Aberrant Mind. Sorry, Josh, I didn't mean to.
Well, no, I was about to go back to Aberrant Mind, so.
Yeah, well, before that, just as a quick thing, did we all say what our favorite subclasses were? Or do we save that? Do we want to save that for the end?
Get around to that yet? No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, here you go. My bad.
What was I gonna? Whatever.
My bad.
Something I will. Something I do. This isn't actually an aberrant. I mean, does anyone have any other strong statement about Aberrant Mind, or just it cool? Is where we're going with that?
Aw, man, you can't just do this to me.
I like it a lot. I like it. It again. It like everything else with Sorcerer. I like it. Just wish that there was more to it, or it was a little bit better. Like Clockwork Soul is really good.
Okay, Clockwork Soul. All right. I have to. Clockwork Soul is cool, but I feel like the theming of their abilities for Clockwork Soul is all over the place.
It's the anti-wild magic sorcerer.
It's like not though, because it has like healing and like shield abilities, and then its capstone is you can heal a bunch of people. And then you can repair stuff, and then also you can cast Dispel Magic with your, like, at will, basically. And
exactly, there's nothing chaotic about that.
It's just not... I'm not against it necessarily, but the theming just feels like a complete mess to me. Like, it's a little all over the place. It's weird.
I mean, if you sort of look at it from the viewpoint of counteracting chaos, it makes sense. Combat is chaotic.
Why is that healing though?
Well, because you're countering chaos, right? Like you're countering the effects of a fight, which is chaotic in nature.
Back time,
I guess.
Yes.
I will say this one I like, the trance of order. Bonus action: you enter the state for 1 minute. For the duration, attack rolls against you can't benefit from advantage. Whenever you make an ability check, saving throw, blah blah blah. You can treat a 9 as a 10. So like anything less, anything below a 10 just bumps to a 10. That one I like because you're controlling the chaos of the dice, right? I feel like that's what they should have leaned in on with the.
You basically get the echo from 14.
Yeah, kind of. I feel like that's what they should have leaned in on with the Clockwork Soul. It is like controlling your die rolls on a meta narrative level because the dice are the chaos in the world, right? But yeah, I don't know. Like again, I'm not. Clockwork is cool. It just felt a little bit all over the place. Some of its abilities are a little odd to me.
Yeah, and then one thing I'll just add. This is something I wish more sorcerers had, and we can go into like fixing sorcerers later. But I like the fact that Aberrant Mind and Clockwork give you additional spell lists.
Yeah.
And I wish the rest of the sorcerers had that.
I mean, here's the thing, Matt. That's one of those things where if this was a video game, they would have gone back and patched that into the old sorcerer subclasses, right?
I know they could. Well, they could have done errata, and then now with the new printings of book, they could have added that in. But they're just
the new
like,
printing
we're
doesn't.
gonna wait for 5e, whatever the hell.
Well, the new printing doesn't have any class stuff, so you can't.
Well, that's what I
Can't
guess.
do that.
I don't know.
As
Well,
far
they-
as the
they
errata,
could.
as far as the errata situation, they could, but I assume their thinking is a change like that, where you're sort of fundamentally shifting a part of the class. I think they probably see as too big of a change for an errata. I feel like their logic is that's a big enough change that we would want to have it in a book. That's my guess. I don't know. So
Maybe.
yes, it's annoying that the new sorcerers just get more spells than the old sorcerers, but it's one of those awkward things where they had a new idea, changed some of their design philosophy, and now it's like, oh, we're gonna have to go back and fix this, which I think they're going to. I mean, if
5e Turbo Ultimax Suplex Alpha Plus Edition
comes out and they don't fix the old sorcerer subclasses by giving them more spells, then I don't know what the fuck they're doing over there. They've lost their goddamn minds. Like, if that doesn't happen, every chair in a 30-mile radius is getting flipped. Table. Every table in a 30-mile radius is getting flipped.
¿Por qué
Why
no
not
los
both?
dos? ¿Por qué no los dos?
Yeah, I mean, that too. So yeah, it's annoying, but it's sort of like I get why it's their situation, But Matt, it was either Matt or no, Isaiah, you're like, oh, I wish there was more. I noticed something about Sorcerer, and it's kind of weird, and like I don't really know what to make of this, but it stood out to me because I was thinking about how playing my current Aberrant Mind, I was like, yeah, the Aberrant Mind abilities are cool, but like I don't feel like I'm getting that much. What's going on here? And it's not actually the quantity, it's the spacing. The spacing at which you get subclass features for Sorcerer is super weird. And I don't really know why they did this, but so Sorcerer is one of the classes that you get your subclass at level 1. So you get a level 1 ability, and then you don't get anything until level 6, which is a pretty big, all right, 6 levels. That's a pretty big gap. Then at level 6, you get your, another ability. You don't get your next ability until level 14.
14.
You're talking about Sorcerer Origin?
Yeah, your Sorcerer's Origin, your subclass feature. That is a 9 level, no, that is a 8 level gap? I did the quick maths and then fucked up the quick maths. It's an 8 level gap.
8.
That is an 8 level gap. Why is that? And then I was like, okay, hold on. Because I had the thought, I was like, maybe somebody else has this problem. There's only 2 other classes that do it like this, and it's Bard and Paladin. Bard and Paladin also have an 8 level gap. But Bard and Paladin get a lot more shit along the way.
What do you mean? The Sorcerer gets so many things like a higher
Spells.
spell, ability score improvements,
that's
and
it.
meta magic.
That's it. Yeah.
That's so many things, Josh. I only have one hand to count with.
God damn it, man. I also noticed Artificer has kind of because I looked through every class to see when everyone gets their subclass features. Artificer has a little bit of a weird rhythm to it too, because they get one at 3 and then they get one at 5 and then they get one at 9. So there's like a weird. Artificer has kind of a funky pattern, but Paladin and Bard have the same pattern as Sorcerer. But again, Paladin and Bard get more shit from their base class along the way. So Sorcerer feels kind of empty because you're not really getting anything other than more spells, and then at level 10, 2 more meta magics.
Well, that's the thing we talked about with Wizards last time, where the company Wizards of the Coast feel that you're getting more spells, you're getting to cast spells at a higher level. There you go.
Yes.
You should be happy, right?
But
you get better spells, right? You get higher spells, right, guys?
If that's the Wizard's identity, then maybe the Sorcerer, you should throw him a bone, right? Like,
right.
So
well, you know
yeah, definitely don't disagree there.
Yeah, I noticed that about Sorcerer, and I was like, I don't even know what to make of that. It's just a really awkward big gap. Because pretty much every other class, it's roughly 3 to 4 levels is you get a feature, ish. Some have a little bit larger gaps than others, but for the most part, it's 3 to 4 levels. And then, yeah, Sorcerer, Bard, and Paladin just have these really funky gaps.
Do you guys remember when we were talking about the fighter and we were talking about Arcane Archer and we're like, they should be able to like know all their arch bows?
Yeah.
The magic bow? Do you think the same thing should be with like the meta magic?
Matt,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Matt, are you psychic?
Maybe.
Are you psychic? Because that was literally the next thing I was about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Great minds think alike.
Okay. Real talk. Fucking real
what
talk.
number am I thinking right now?
6.
Fuck. It was 6.
All right. Real talk right now. What is the point of not giving them all of their meta magics? What is the benefit and or design philosophy? Because I feel like my train of thought is you're already limited because you have an ammo count via sorcery points. So why are you then also limited on options? Is not an ammo limit enough? Like, I feel like you should just unlock meta magic. You get every single meta magic. That would also help differentiate them from wizards, which is a whole other thing. But like, am I missing something?
Go on. There you go.
No.
Oh my god. So okay.
Canadian standoff.
I think the massive big brain thought here is that I think, honest to God, Wizards had a really hard time balancing Sorcerer, is what my guess would be. So, and it's not, and here's the thing. I don't think meta magic was the thing to break the camel's back, but it was one of the things that had to be sacrificed, right? Because they already don't have many class features. We're like, you see a lot of gaps in their level sheet. So it just felt like maybe they had too many features and they had to take some away, and they're like, now we have to spread some of this out a little bit because it seemed maybe they're getting too much at the beginning and too much at the end. We have to spread this out a little bit amongst the middle. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't know, Sam or Matt. It doesn't.
I mean, the only thing I can add to that is that it might be left over from when they were trying to do other things, like Isaiah was saying, with the balancing, because it may have been too strong with what they initially had to have all of them, or it might just be the idea of, well, it's an RPG, you should pick things rather than just have all of them. Because that's
right.
Just that's a very classic RPG thing to do, and D&D is one of, if not the classic. I mean,
the originator.
Well, tabletop, but my point is that it could just be that design philosophy of you shouldn't have everything, much like everybody shouldn't have every spell unless you're a wizard who goes out of their way to copy down every single spell into their book. So like, it could just be that design philosophy leaking into the modern time, and it does that with a lot of classes, not just Sorcerer. So
if a player comes to this is to everyone. If a player comes to you and says, "I would like to play Sorcerer. Can I have every single meta magic?" What's your response?
I would say for a long-term campaign, yes. With the understanding that I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to like give me some time to like basically just remake this class. Or restructure the features that you get as you level up. Because if you give them everything, they're going to be missing an additional 3 level ups worth of feature. They're just not going to have it. Or 2, sorry.
True.
Which means they're going to be without 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 levels of anything.
So you're saying because one of the class feature things is that you get more meta magics, you would be stripping them further of that?
Pretty much. And then I feel like they would like it at the beginning and then fucking hate it towards the end.
What if they hit you with the I don't care, I just want to have the option to use whichever one?
No.
Like what if they just say like you don't have to redesign it, I just want to be able to use them all?
Well, here's the other thing you could do for redesigning. Just give them more sorcery points instead. Those when you take whenever they would normally get a meta magic feature, just give them like
points.
give them two sorcery points that level. There you go.
So what I was going to say is that instead of giving more sorcery points, you reduce the amount that they pick, but instead of getting them, they empower them. So I think we talked about this in the feat episode, where if you were to take the meta magic feat and take a meta magic you already have, it would make them stronger. That could also work.
So you're saying on those feature level ups, give them the ability to double down on a specific one they like.
Yes.
But also still give them all of them, access to all of them.
Yes.
Does anybody remember?
That's spicy.
Cardell shared this with us. God knows how fucking long ago. Cardell, if you're listening to this, you got to find that shit for me. It was a little supplement that someone put on GM's Guild that was like level up bonus, like they were like mini feats, and you got them every level up. They added small things.
So that was me.
Oh, it was you.
I posted that was me. So shout out to this YouTuber, the Dungeon Coach. I subscribed to him on Patreon for a while, and he came out with this nifty book called Bonus Level Up Perks, which he describes them as little cool abilities that you can give to your players at whatever level, or instead of magic items or whatever. And he went nuts and made them for every class, every subclass. And I literally was like, there's so much here. This is all great. And so I'm probably going to use a bunch of it in whatever campaign I run next.
Matt, do you know where you put that?
I can send to you later.
If you can just, because basically, depending on how good they are, I would probably just be like, sure, you can do that. I'm just going to replace your class features with whatever's on this supplement.
Yeah, that could work. I don't know what my answer to the question would be. I was throwing it out to the crowd because I'm crowdsourcing the work.
Yeah, right. Because here's the thing, right? You want to say yes, and then you think about what that could take away.
There's ramifications.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean,
you have the one player.
That's good game design.
One player. Yeah. You have the one player who's at high level, 32. I'm gonna summon 1,000 snakes, and I'm gonna empower it so I can summon 64 snakes, and it's just all right, dude, what the fuck are you? All right.
I mean, I don't
snakes.
I don't think that's necessarily what Isaiah meant, but yes, also that I suppose.
No, I'm just saying, you can have one of those players who will if you. It's like the was it snowball effect?
I mean,
if you allow
that's
it,
the
and
thing,
then,
though. That's the thing about meta magics. I feel like, barring the point Isaiah made about how there will be these awkward level up gaps, but I feel like just giving them access to the whole list would not make the sorcerer super OP. I don't think it would really unbalance things that much.
Yeah, I don't think so, because they're not gonna have you let them have it, and then it's all right, cool. At level 3, I can do this 3 times.
Right? Yeah, you don't have enough ammo. Exactly. You have an ammo limit, so it's
it's wow, I have so many options and no fucking ammo to do anything with.
Right. It's I have a rocket launcher. It's cool. You have 2 rockets. You're oh.
Yeah, I mean, not to quote a specific comic that we were referencing on Saturday, but it's like, just because they have all their options doesn't mean they get to use more than one at a time. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't remember what you're referencing, but okay.
I'll tell you after the podcast.
Okay. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The meta magic thing is just I think especially it bugs me because if you did give them all of the meta magics, that would really help Sorcerer feel different from Wizard. You know, like that would be a big boost to that problem. But I don't know. And I was looking over my notes and then I just saw Empowered Spell again and I got angry again because Empowered Spell is so fucking stupid. I hate that meta so much. All right, hold on. Let me.
I do kind of have. It's not really a question, or it kind of is a question because like, I've played with a bunch of new people, and most of the time their first like time they want to try a spellcaster, they don't go to Wizard, they don't go to Cleric, they don't go to Druid.
Go to Sorcerer.
It's always Sorcerer. Like, why do you guys think that? Is just because the flavoring of like the X-Men?
So,
I'm born with inner magic and I can do, you know.
It took the words out of my fucking mouth, Matt. yet again, Matt is proving he's psychic. Yeah, I genuinely. So, all right, I'm gonna rope a couple of things in here. So yes, I think there's the flavor of Sorcerer has this very appealing new player idea to it. And one of the things I jotted down is when I was reading the flavor text stuff at the beginning of the Sorcerer section, you know how every class has that like flavor chunk of like flavor text to sort of give you an idea of what they are.
It's so cool. I love my favorite quote from that is like, by learning to harness and channel their inborn magic, they can discover new and staggering ways to unleash their power.
Right.
Fucking sick.
That gave me a thought that I think something that also could have potentially helped Sorcerer to split itself away from Wizard, because again, this is really the point that's always harping in my brain, is classes being distinct from each other. I think they should have leaned into the Sorcerers are mutants angle a lot more. And I don't mean necessarily like weird monstrosities, but mutants in the X-Men sense. And I think a lot of new players like Sorcerers because they think that is what a Sorcerer is about, is that sort of X-Men-esque, I'm a mutant with these weird inborn powers, so my stuff is going to be different than just being a regular old wizard. Then you play it, and what you find out mechanically is you're not that different from Wizard. You're a little different, but not that crazy different. And then a lot of people are like, oh, maybe I should have just played a Wizard instead. So yeah, I think that flavor of like the mutated, super powerful, like weird, you know, child of a dragon idea is really appealing because it has kind of like a anime and comic-esque vibe to it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't actually really reinforce that very well mechanically. It does a little bit here and there, but not a whole lot.
Interesting. That's very interesting that you say that, because my first thought was not actually the vibe, it was the simplicity. Because sorcerers are very simple. Like they don't have many class features. There's not a whole lot to keep track of. Like, yeah, you have your points and you have your meta magics.
I don't know. Are meta magics? Are meta magics simple?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Well, early levels you don't have to pick that many. I mean, hell, you only get 4 throughout all 20 levels.
Totally.
So.
Oh yeah. Which, by the way, side note, Wizards, what the fuck? If you're not going to give them every meta magic, why only 4? 4? 4? That's not a lot, bro. What the fuck?
Like, if you think about it like short term, right? Because again, most games I feel like aren't surpassing level 12. So people are only worried about their level 1 to 4 or 1 to 5. So you're like, oh, well, like, you know, Wizard, you get a spell book, you have all these spells, you have these features, you have all this shit to keep track of, and like, you know, Fighter, you have like potentially your maneuvers, or maybe you just don't want to play physical, and then Bard, you have your... It's just, okay, so I'm a spellcaster, I only get, 4 5 spells at level 5, and I have 5 sorcery points, and I have 2 meta magics, right? Like it's really simple, low to the ground numbers.
Oh, it is worth pointing out. Sorcerers also. I don't know if they do any more with the new subclasses, but they got less spells than with.
Yeah, that too. There's less to worry about overall. Sorcerers are just very low maintenance, which I think that's pretty apt to the way that sorcerers are. They're just very low maintenance. They just show up, do their thing, and go home.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I didn't think about that, but you might. I mean, you're not wrong. I don't know if it's the reason, but yeah, it's probably a factor.
Yeah, like I don't know if it is the reason, but it's funny too. I don't like that much. Because to me, I almost want Sorcerer to be the most technical caster, right? Like I want to be able to.
Who should be the least then?
Warlock. Warlock's like, the only spells you really have to worry about are your cantrips. And 2 spells a day.
Sam, was that a quiet approval in the background?
Absolutely. There are only a few spells you need as Warlock.
I mean,
there was Misty Step,
Misty Step, and Hunger of Hadar,
and Misty Step.
I mean, Sam, do you have a thought as to why newer players seem to be gravitating towards Sorcerer?
Thematically, they're just cool.
Yeah,
that's really it.
Yeah,
like wizards. So like. When I think about casters, I like Wizard, Warlock, and Sorcerer are like the castery casters because, like, Druid's a caster, Cleric's a caster, but like they're
the 3
they're
arcane.
not. They don't have that fantasy fiction caster.
Yeah, they don't have the arcane spellbook kind of vibe.
Yeah, and like Wizard, a lot of people. At least nowadays, I think they're just nerds, which is like, fair.
Yeah, fair.
They're nerds.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. Then Warlocks are like, well, I mean, I think a lot of players feel like their patron is going to but like their patrons are going to interfere way more than they might actually do. So they're like, that could be a negative. I don't want to deal with that, blah, 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 blah. So they're like they feel off about Warlock. However, Sorcerer is just like, oh, my magic comes from me. That's cool. Sorcerer, cool.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah.
I get what they're coming from.
That was kind of where my train of thought was at. Yeah. But Isaiah, you were saying you think Sorcerer should be the most complex.
I do.
As far as the casters
because it just like
I think I agree. I'm not.
They have the most room to be super technical, super complex, which that can scare some people off. But I don't think just because it scares some people off that it shouldn't be that way, right? Like that's kind of how I feel about Druid.
Yeah,
Druid can be
as long as there is a simpler caster, then you can have a crazy caster.
Like right now,
I think my only my only thing against making a complicated caster is really just when you complicate things in a tabletop game, it is not like complicating a class in a video game.
True.
It can become more to take into account as the DM. It can be more to.
It has more of a knock-on effect.
Yeah, it influences the game so much more than just like adding a new meta magic in.
It does.
True.
I understand where you're coming from, and I do agree that like Sorcerer should have more options than it does, because I think the way that meta magic is done is kind of wishy-washy. I don't even have to talk about empowered. Just
empowered spell.
Just most of them are like, you're never going to use this. Like most sorcerers will use twin spell, subtle spell, and like maybe transmutation.
Also heighten spell.
Heighten and quicken are pretty good.
Heighten,
quicken,
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I see less people use quickened and more people use whatever, but like I see the usage. Point being is that like there are just meta magics that aren't going to be used at all because they're just not good. Like
it's different than, oh, you know, it's not great. These are better, and like you can take it anyways and still use it. It's like, well, like
Distance spell. LOL.
That one can be useful, but it's very situational.
What's the one that increases the time of a concentration
Extended
spell to like extended spell? What spell do you need to extend for an hour?
Haste.
Haste.
Okay, sure, haste. But here's the thing: like, you extend haste for an hour. Combat was done forever ago.
20 minutes
it's now
ago.
been an hour. Like,
There's
you
still a
haven't
whole
done any
dungeon,
more combat.
Sam. I need to go
You
through this
haven't-
whole dungeon
What
hasted.
if it's not a dungeon?
That would
My
be funny
point
going
is,
through a dungeon hasted.
It would be hilarious, yes, and you know it could make some good role play experience. But like, what else would you use
The
that
movement speed specifically.
True.
for one person?
I need to run to the other side of the world, Sam. I need to
can
be
imagine
under an
like a
hour.
chase, like a, you know, so it's like, oh, chase that motherfucker down. It's like, oh, but we won't catch up. I will. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, if you're already hasted at that point, do you really think it's going to take longer than the minute?
Yeah.
depending on how
argument-
far away they are.
Like,
Yeah, but like the thing is if you're hasted, you're going to be moving 4 times their speed anyways.
true.
Wait, like, just think about it this way. Think about it this way, Sam. An enemy wizard dimension doors 500 feet away.
You're just
And
on
I'll
his
catch
ass.
you in 30 I'll give you 30 seconds, bitch.
I get it. It's just
He's just
that's such
the enemy
a
wizard's
niche.
just sitting in his room sipping some coffee, like, whew,
Oh,
good
God.
thing I have dimension door. And you just slam through his door like, surprise, motherfucker.
Exactly. Or they look off in the distance, like, what the fuck? Oh no.
Just a fireball coming at you. I just
like, imagine you have a tabaxi too, so you can double your double movement.
I just imagine
Tabaxi
Django doing
rogue.
that thing where he comes
Wow.
through the wall, just arms at his side, just explodes into the room.
A tabaxi rogue that double dashes
Yep.
and then uses its double dash while hasted.
Oh my god. You literally just teleports behind you, nothing person. Like, I don't even want to think about how much fucking movement that is.
It's a lot.
And then you go even further beyond,
Beyond?
and you throw some monk in there so that you get some extra movement
Yep.
speed.
Yeah. You
Hold on,
basically,
all right, keep talking. I'm gonna do this math really quick.
you basically just, the
don't even-
wizard dimension doors away and then turns around and freaking,
And then tabaxi's just there.
the tabaxi, the tabaxi Matingo is just like, you've killed my father. Prepare to die.
Prepare to die.
Oh no.
So
Anyway,
Yeah,
LOL
no
extended spell. Oh, fuck.
Point is that that's a super niche use of it.
Right,
And it's
yeah.
like you're not going to use it as often as you might twin spell.
Right,
Like it's just there are just so many
twin
things
spell's hard
that
to
it's
argue
like,
with.
Yeah, it's very good, especially if you have haste.
Twin haste. Oh.
Twin haste is good.
Yeah.
Brett, our editor, used twin haste
Yeah.
when we were
Yep.
doing one of our flashback sessions. Very good.
okay, wait.
So-
I think if I did my math right, a tabaxi of 5th level, hasted, speed doubled, triple dashing tabaxi can move 960 feet.
Yeah,
In 6
you catch up to
seconds.
dimension door.
In 6.
Oh my god.
They call me the
Okay.
Flash.
That's almost double
I-
what Dimension Door can do.
Yeah. That's so fucking funny.
Yeah. That was
Okay. Oh wait, hold on though. Throw on some boots of speed.
Okay, so I don't want to do that. Well, you basically
Just
double
double
it
it.
again. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're going
Just-
1920 feet.
Yeah.
Could you imagine going a mile in 6 seconds?
1900.
Oh,
It would be over a mile.
Yeah.
But like, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, you'd be going 192 miles an hour. Can't you like? What's the speed to run on water? Is there a speed for that?
I
don't know.
I mean, that depends on their
Theoretical-
mass.
I don't know.
Yeah, theoretical speed required for a human male to run on water?
About 80 kilometers.
Can I get that in American?
It's about 70 miles an hour.
Oh my god!
Yeah, no, you could absolutely run on water.
Oh my god!
Yo, can you fucking imagine how amazing that would be? Yo, we have to do this.
The Tabaxi Flash.
He has to stop for 6 seconds every time he does it. However,
The Tabaxi has. Your Tabaxi has entered the Speed Force.
Can you imagine Matingo?
Tabaxi just explodes.
Even if Matingo doesn't use one of his dashes, can you imagine the amount I would if Matingo ran at somebody full fucking speed for 960 feet and then slashed them with his sword and then smite? I'd be like, I'm gonna add fall damage to this at this point.
I feel like that's fast enough that if you ran into someone, they just explode.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it would 100% because the amount of force behind it. No. You throw in a lance instead of trying to like stab or slash them, and just couch it. They're gone. They've been deleted. There's a hole in their body if their body is still even around.
If there's a body left.
Here's another question. So if you're moving 1920 miles an hour and you fire an arrow, how fast is the arrow going?
Okay, so
The arrow loses speed.
The arrow does not go as fast
Not
as you.
anywhere
because
near as fast as you.
It
Would it not compound the speed though?
No.
No,
A little
not
bit
that-
initially, but it would lose velocity.
It would literally just go behind you because
Yeah,
it doesn't.
you'd go
It
past.
doesn't have the constant momentum.
It doesn't have the force.
So
see.
It's like when you throw a ball into the air, it would just follow you. At best, it would just follow you.
What's the theoretical speed required to run up a wall? Is that even something you can calculate? I'm going on a tangent.
Yeah.
Anyway, you'd have to be defying gravity, but I think if you're running that fast, you are defying gravity already.
Yeah.
The amount of force that you're exerting is massive.
But yeah. What? I don't. How do we get
I have
here?
another question.
Extended spell.
What's up, Matt?
Yeah. So kind of like how, and whenever we get to the warlock, because this is definitely a conversation that's going to happen later, and I'm getting annoyed at how many charisma casters there are in this game.
Correct.
Do you feel like sorcerers should be like, I don't know, like constitution based with their ability?
No,
With their
I've never
ability
been in that
score,
case.
like, or some other, like, do you feel like charisma
I
is
think
okay
they should
for
be
them?
wisdom. Honestly.
Why? Why wisdom?
What?
Fascinating.
So,
Oh, boy.
wisdom is basically how you use knowledge and how you understand things. So I think that a sorcerer having the greater understanding of their own abilities and their own magic should be able to perform greater feats, hence wisdom.
Ah. Yeah, I see it. Yeah, because I always thought of it as like it's coming from within. So obviously your constitution, and then like there could be some kind of inner
I could
mechanic
see
with
the
like hit
argument
dice.
for that.
But like, yeah, no, wisdom's good. That's a good idea.
So,
Yeah.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. Well, the problem if you say wisdom is then we have too many wisdom casters.
Yeah.
But
Nah.
the argument that the game puts forward is that charisma is your spell modifier because you are channeling your magic via your force of will to put things into the world, and charisma is sort of the stand-in for like mental force of will in 5e anyway. So that's the argument they make, and I think charisma's fine. I think that kind of, I get what they're saying. However, I could maybe see an argument for like a certain, like some of the sorcerer subclasses to use Constitution instead. I could see that. I think that might be an interesting thought. But I'm not really totally like against sorcerer being a charisma caster. I'm more against warlock being a charisma caster. I think that's the one that bugs me way more.
And that's because you're influencing the world via your boy, your man, your bone daddy, if you will. So, like, I get it. I understand why. I really don't think intelligence fits intelligence. Wisdom, the same argument.
I don't think wisdom
for
fits for
sorcerer.
warlock. My thing with
I think it's the same thing for sorcerer. I think it's literally you don't have a teacher, you don't have a greater understanding. You kind of have to figure it out on your own. So I see why wisdom would fit.
right, but the whole thing with a warlock is like you're delving into hidden information or information that's
It
not
depends on the warlock.
I mean, not all of them, but that's sort of the general gist. That's like how they're talked about in a lot of the like flavor stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I think
actually, I agree with you. I think warlocks should be int casters, but
yeah, I don't know. I just like that. But as far as sorcerer, like I think sorcerer's fine as a charisma caster. But like,
Yeah.
what was it? The
well, real quick,
the giant sorcerer that didn't end up happening. But if that
That
was the
became
thing,
Rune Knight.
yeah. If that was the thing, I could see that being a con sorcerer.
yeah, I could.
For example.
Just real quick. I would just a small. I will accept sorcerers being charisma casters if we can agree that paladins should be wisdom casters.
No.
What?
So wait, I want to hear why.
Cleric is wisdom, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cleric
No.
is
And
wisdom.
paladins should be wisdom.
So
They're the same shit.
because the argument that I
Yes,
see a
but
lot
also
is
no.
that paladins' abilities don't actually come from a divine source. It comes from their literal sense of hype,
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
like
they're
how
the
hard they
themselves,
believe in
yeah.
a cause.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's charisma. Like, yeah, it's like your force of will.
I don't really think it's
but,
wisdom
like,
either, though. Right? Like how wise you are, I don't think is necessarily how hype you are for your own bullshit.
Well, so here's the thing, right? Because by that, like, by a similar logic, clerics shouldn't be wisdom. Because, because no matter how much you slice it, a paladin's ability is based on faith. It's just not faith in a divine cause. It's faith in themselves.
Yeah, but I think that the what you have a faith in would the thing that you are believing in would reflavor it. So I think it makes sense that because I'm believing in something else, that's the idea for it being wisdom, as opposed to believing in myself, which is my own charisma. Because charisma is not just how sexy you are; it's also how sort of like self. It's sort of a measure of like confidence, also. You know?
Yeah, like I'm reading like the player. I'm just like I went to the player handbook just to read like what is the wizard? What do they define like intelligence, wisdom, and charisma? So
Part of
like
the problem is that the mental stats are kind of wishy-washy between each other.
yeah, because it's like so like intelligence. It's like mental acuity, information recalling, analytic skills, wisdom, awareness, intuition, insight, and then it's like charisma, confidence, eloquence, leadership. I'm like, oh,
I mean,
right.
leadership. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Leadership speaks pretty paladin to me. I don't know. I can't.
I can see it. So this is one of the things that may or may not happen in 5e Turbo, whatever, where they might, and I don't know how, because this might complicate the game, or this won't. I don't know. I'm not a game designer. But they might end up in the next edition tell people, be like, all right, you can play a warlock as a charisma or an intelligence caster. You fucking pick. You could play a paladin as a charisma or a wisdom, caster. You pick. And then it gives more players options to be like, all right, well, I want to make a more, like, I don't know, wise paladin than a charismatic one.
Yeah, that's
But
kind of what I
then-
was saying about the different subclasses changing what your primary stat is. I think that would be.
Well,
the
I
best
think
way.
they might just do it with the whole class because it's easier to do that with the entire class, and then you can pick whatever subclass you want and have it fit rather than, all right, I'm a charisma caster until I get to my subclass, and then I can be a wisdom caster. But then originally the class is still charisma.
It's funny.
so it's-
Fighter kind of works like that. You can make a dex fighter or a strength fighter.
So here's the thing. This is not a counter, but this is some food for thought.
Counter.
The only reason why I think they wouldn't is because they would have to do so much work to fundamentally alter multi-classing.
good.
Just think about the amount of damage you can do
No, you can't
if you turn.
see Isaiah. You can't ignore Matt's just suddenly going,
Matt?
good.
Matt,
I just hear you say it.
Oh my god! Matt just quietly in the background went, "Good."
like,
Not for the better though. That's the problem.
Oh my god!
let's not hate multiplexing.
Wow,
right?
Matt,
No, I'm mostly kidding. To be honest, I do kind of wish multi-class
Matt, commit
was
to the
different,
bit.
but that's a different episode.
No, Matt, commit to the bit. That was a deep hatred from down deep in your heart. Fuck, that was funny. It's just good.
Because I think about it this way, Matt. You're right. You're already having problems with multiclassing in your games. If they just let you carte blanche pick what stats do what, think of the nightmare scenario you'd be going through.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. It'd probably get worse.
I 100% believe with every fiber of my being it would get worse.
Yeah.
So, anyways, strength casters.
Yes. Give
Hell
me
yeah,
muscle
brother.
wizard.
Anyway.
I want a muscle wizard so bad.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
called the Barbarian, Sam.
The
Come
thing
on.
is like,
That Matt,
oh,
barbarians can't cast spells while raging.
yeah,
That's why you have bard stuff. You get the
That-
best of both worlds, and then you just
That's
call
not-
yourself a muscle wizard.
That Matt,
or
no.
you just multi-class barbarian wizard and just don't rage, I guess. I don't know.
One of my players
this
did
just
that.
sounds like a really weird time.
Oh, it is.
He's like, I played an old grandma wizard, and then when I ran out of spell slots, I'm like, well, and then like did the thing from Avatar with Boomy,
Hulked
and just like
Just hulked out.
muscles extends, yeah, the
Master
hunch
Roshi.
goes away, and she's like buff grandma. I'm like, oh my god, what is wrong with you?
I love that. That's fantastic.
It's pretty funny.
I mean, I guess it makes it so you can be more liberal with your spells.
Yeah, it does.
But that's not a muscle wizard. That's just a wizard that has muscles. There's a difference.
I mean,
True.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. The what stat should be the main stat? I feel like is a debate that could go on for a long time. So I don't feel like there's any. The problem is, I think at the end of the day, is they're all kind of a certain amount of subjective interpretation of what they mean. So there's no real hard, fast way to be like, it is this or that. You know.
Yeah, I suppose.
Let me just see what other little fun
Do you-
things.
Do you guys want to like lightning round the subclasses and just see like, you
Hold
know,
on,
you
we'll
like it?
do those at the end because a
Okay.
couple more things. Oh, this was an interesting little thing that I saw, and like I don't know if I would really do anything with this information, but like, in the flavor of wizard, it mentions that wizard. God damn it! In the flavor of sorcerer, it mentions that sorcerers are supposed to be super rare, but there's nothing in their like mechanical design to imply or reinforce that or in any way. And I don't know what I would do to make it work, but I kind of wish there was something about their design that sort of reinforced this idea that sorcerers are rare, because I feel like a lot of people
though.
Yeah, I don't really know what it would be necessarily, but the thing is I don't think a lot of people realize that aspect of a sorcerer, and that's kind of an interesting idea that like, oh, there's way more wizards than sorcerers because the idea that the magic is just in you inherently is less common. It's kind of like an interesting thing. So I don't know what I don't know what it would be, but yeah, I don't know. It seemed like a fun idea. Like, oh, what if there was some sort of mechanic to that to sort of invoke that feat?
I mean, I don't know. The problem with that is that having a mechanic to invoke that feeling is fine and all. But again, it's the overcomplication of a class and more things for a player to keep track of that always bothers me when we're just saying we should throw this on.
Well, I'm
you know?
not saying just throw it on. It would be like a feature or two. Like, I'm not getting like crazy.
I'm hold on. I'm not done. And another thing is that like, how often do you actually run into sorcerer NPCs in game?
It depends on your game, I guess.
Like, how often do people actually run into these? Because like, most of the time when people make a caster, they make it a warlock or a wizard. They don't generally make it like, and I'm talking about DMs making NPCs.
Right.
They don't generally make it a sorcerer. They might steal from sorcerer and be like, yeah, the wizard can do this.
You might just take
Like-
the Archmage stat block and just switch the intelligence and charisma and be like, there you go. It's an arch sorcerer. Wow, look how amazing I am.
Yeah.
Such a good
So like,
DM.
how often do you could just say that's a warlock though?
No, because they actually have warlock stat blocks. They don't have a lot of sorcerer stat blocks.
True.
My point is that like, you know, a lot of people don't generally even think about running NPC sorcerers because generally wizards have more going for them in general on stat blocks. Same thing with warlocks. It's not that frequent that you're running into a sorcerer. So do we need a mechanic, or do we just need the DM to in game recognize that they're a sorcerer more often?
I mean, maybe not need a mechanic. I just thought it would be kind of an I mean, yeah, no.
Yeah,
need is a strong word. I wouldn't. Yeah, need it. Meh.
So I think on this one, I want to reference the conversation we had a few days ago, Josh, where to me it's like the fact that they're a player character does sort of connotate a portion of that scarcity. You know?
It can, yeah. Depending. I mean, there's a lot of leeway because I feel like some GMs have this inclination to run their game in such a fashion where it's like, and this is not intended, but I think this is something that happens where a lot of GMs do this thing where every major character, like every NPC who's important, is a class. They're not just a person. It's like, well, yeah. This is Steve. Steve is a barbarian. Also, Steve is you're the fixer. And Steve will give you your missions. Like they have this weird inclination to slap classes onto NPCs all the time.
Not calling him Dave.
And true, I should have called him Dave. You're right. And
No, Dave is the werewolf wizard. Come on.
and it's like, I don't know where that's coming from, but I think because of that, you run into this situation where sometimes the PCs don't feel like they're anything in particularly different. They're just sort of more powerful people, you know?
Yeah, well, so I think about it like this, right? If the GM makes a like known, powerful named character a class, that sort of makes sense, right? Because that person is also a cut above the rest.
If they're implied to be powerful, yes, but a lot of the time people will just be like for example, to use my own game, right? A lot of people probably would have had the inclination to be like, yes, Rulk is a fighter, you know? Like, as opposed to just saying, like, he's just a bugbear crime boss. They'd be like, no, he's the bugbear crime boss who's a fighter. So he has maneuvers and stuff because he's a fighter, you know? Like, I think a lot of people kind of do that, and that sort of diminishes the effect, you know?
I think I've only run the players who do that when they're fighting said NPC, or they see said NPC do something, or they're wielding some sort of special weapon.
I'm not saying
like,
the players would do it. I'm saying that a lot of GMs tend to do.
Yeah,
well,
go on, Matt.
No, that's what I was saying. Like, I don't think. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think a lot of DMs do it because like I never really did it.
I've seen
guess.
people talk about it, and I mean, maybe it just feels like
Or
it's
maybe-
more than not, but I've definitely seen it come up.
Well, because it's the thing is that the game itself is sort of designed in such a way that some of the monsters are specifically built to invoke classes, right?
They are, yeah.
Berserkers rage, they reckless, they have they have retaliate. So they basically are a class themselves. So there is that, right? Like and it also, I mean, it's worth also noting that some classes are just going to be more common than others.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a berserker is if you think about it, it depending on where you are in the world, it's pretty common. If you've got a bunch of Vikings running around there, you got to think at least a few of them are going to be berserkers. If you're running a game, I don't remember what the equivalent of Japan is in Forgotten Realms. I know that Teshino was from there, but you're probably going to have some samurai from that area, right? So, hell, wizards. But yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, it wasn't really a totally finished thought. It was just sort of a thing. I was like, interesting point. Anything else? Oh. Just as a little side thing, the little description tables, like the manifestation of order and the aberrant minds, aberrant origins. Can we get those on the other sorcerers, please? Because those are super cool. I like those a lot.
Don't they have those? Aren't they in all the subclasses? What?
Nope. They are not. Nope. I think shadow magic has a thing where it's like, oh, you have weird shadow magic quirks. But that's the only
you talking about the table that adds like some flavor elements to them.
So for the
I'm sorry.
For the Clockwork Soul,
okay.
For the Clockwork Soul, it says manifestation of order, which is like what your magic looks like, and then the aberrant mind one is aberrant origins, which is like how you got your weird psychic powers. It's not like super important or anything. I just think it'd be fun to slap those on all the other sorcerers because the idea of a sorcerer's backstory, or not even like backstory, but like where their powers come from is very intrinsically important to the class. So I feel like those little tables help with that kind of thing.
Yeah, but they kind of did that in Xanathar's. Like they have the bunch of tables in Xanathar's guide that
put them on the. I'm saying I want them on the sorcerer.
Oh
like
no,
the
I
class
agree with
specifically.
Yeah.
Tie them to the vibe, you know, like the dragon one. It could be like Mom was a dragon, or many years ago we made a pact with dragons, or like I drank dragon blood as a child. You know, like you could throw like a bunch of little ideas in there. I don't know. I think
they actually do have something in my favorite book in there about the dragon sorcerers. Like what were your origins? I think it's in that book for
maybe.
some. Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I could be wrong.
When we get the 5e redux, slap them in the player's handbook. Give me, and just throw them a little juice, little something. Yeah, that was. I don't think. I don't know if I have any other thoughts. Well, I guess. I don't know if this is really a quick thing, but like we did kind of mention it before. The whole like sorcerer should. The whole idea of like sorcerer should work like warlock and warlock should work like sorcerer. Is that? Do you agree with that idea? I feel like it kind of
don't get really. That. Like I don't get. Yeah.
Okay,
Can someone explain to me the reasoning behind that?
The logic that I saw that I was like, oh, that does kind of make sense, is that because the sort of fictional explanation to a sorcerer is you're this overwhelming. Like you're this font of magic, and you don't really have a grasp or control necessarily over your abilities. So the idea is you can only cast twice a day but you cast everything at max power because you can't really either A, you can't control it, or B, you're just always blowing your full load. And then the idea with the invocations is because you're a weird, not normal form of mage, because your powers are not done in the controlled wizard manner, they get modified and adjusted in strange ways because you're sort of genetically altered. So the invocations are the idea that like because I have a draconic background or something, my spells got changed, and then you pick those invocations, and that's how your spells would be different. The pacts, like the Pact of the Blade and stuff, those maybe don't fit as so much, but the idea of like always casting at max level and having permanently altered spell effects is kind of the two things that kind of feel a little sorcery. And then the idea with the Warlock is like you get this powerful magic that you can make adjustments and changes to because your patron slipped the secrets into your ear and said, here, baby girl, this is how you use this. I thought it was an interesting idea, and I was like, I do kind of see the argument. I flip-flop back and forth on what side I'm on, but I do think it's kind of interesting to point out that, like, oh yeah, maybe Sorcerer and Warlock should have been flipped. I don't know. Maybe I'm off base.
I go back and forth because I partially agree with it, but then I partially don't.
It's not 100%. It's not a total flip.
Right.
But there's parts of it that feel. I think particularly the idea of like, oh, Sorcerer is always casting at max level, but because they're always casting at max level, they can only cast so much. I thought was an interesting one because that's what Warlock does. I was like, oh yeah, it does kind of fit the flavor of Sorcerer pretty well. Sam, do you have any thoughts on that idea?
No, I just think Madam Magic should be better. That's it.
What?
I don't think Warlock and Sorcerer should swap. I just think that the way to fix Sorcerer is to fix Meta Magic.
I wasn't talking about fixing. I was just proposing an interesting, like, hypothetical.
I don't. I think no. I think that a sorcerer would have more control over how much magic they have versus. Oh well, I can cast it. However, big boom, you know. It happened. Biggest boomus.
I know. I like the idea. I think part of the thing for me is I want Sorcerer to be always the biggest boomus. Just feels right.
You want them to be the most blastiest of all the casters.
Yeah.
I just think they should have more options.
I want them to be the most blastiest.
It's funny you say, because Josh, you want them to be the most blasty. I almost want them to be the most controlled in a way. Like, that's kind of why I want like more.
I mean, blasty doesn't necessarily it just means like a lot of power flowing through.
Yeah. I
want that Jean Grey life.
We'll see, because the opposite for me is like, I think most people want Sorcerer to be like, don't you want to just go ape shit, where it's like,
no, I don't think it's necessarily that.
I think a lot of people think that's what Warlock probably should be when we have conversations like these, where I want a people want like, you know, Mr. Torg explosions. I want Black Mage. Which, I understand is also Mr. Torg Explosions, but it's Mr. Torg Explosions with a lot of, like, complexity behind it.
Yeah, I mean, Black Mage is biggest boomus, though.
Yeah, but it's not like they don't go biggest boomus, like, don't you want to just go ape shit? It's like...
They have ebbs and flows.
Yeah, like, it's...
Yeah, like I said, I'm not on Team Ape shit at all. Anyway. And, alright, I guess we'll close out with favorite subclass amongst the Sorcerer squad. And,
ready for everyone to say Aberrant Mind?
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, okay, Here's the thing. I'm debating between Aberrant Mind. Because here's the thing. I love the concept of a Draconic bloodline. It's just that mechanically Draconic Sorcerer is not great. But I really, really love the fiction of it. So I'm like kind of leaning towards that, but I do like Aberrant Mind. Also, Shadow Magic's super cool. And despite everything Isaiah said, I still like Wild Magic. I don't know. Divine Soul's boring. It's fine. It's whatever. Clockwork Soul
pretty
is
good, honestly.
Yeah, I don't care if it's good or not. It's not super interesting to me. Clockwork Soul's okay. Storm Sorcery's okay. Draconic Bloodline I want to be better. Shadow Magic I think's pretty cool. I don't know. I guess I'll say Aberrant. How's everybody else feel?
Aberrant Mind. That being said, I actually really like the idea of Divine Soul. I like the whole, like, your parent was, you know, an angel or something.
My thing is I like Celestial Warlock more than...
Yeah, well, so if we're talking, like, thematically, like, Divine Soul is my Dragon Soul, right? Like, I love the fiction of being, like, you know, you're a wizard, Harry, except an angel.
Right.
But it's just, it's not bad. It's
actually quite strong, but its abilities
it's quite strong. It's just not what I want it to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was just like us being like, oh, you'd want more spells? Well, how about 2 spell lists? There you go.
Yeah.
No, not even. I just want it to be more like Aasimar. Like, I always wanted Divine Soul to be Aasimar, the subclass, and it's not that, but it's not enough of it for me to be like, yes, you know?
Matter, Sam. What you feeling?
You want to go first, Sam?
No. You go first, Matt.
No, you should.
The Canadian
go
standoff
first.
once again.
All right.
No. I was planning on going last anyways.
Oh, okay. Honestly, my favorite is is the Draconic one, just because I love, like Josh was saying, like the flavor of dragon blood being within you, giving you all these magic, and dragons being one of, if not the most magical fucking creatures in fantasy. And the fact that it's like, yeah, either one of your ancestors fucked a dragon, or you got dragon blood in there somehow. Like, it's cool, and I don't know. I like a lot of the abilities. Like, I'm not happy with the Draconic Presence thing that I think they ended up making a feat in Xanathar's guide. If I'm mistaken, I could be mistaken.
They made like a
with the
less
fear-
powerful thing, I think, of it.
Right, like the fear effect at 18th level is kind of pointless. Although the whole aura of concentration is pretty nice.
I also find it a little weird that Draconic Bloodline is one of the ones that gets like bonus to their damage. As far as this up,
Yeah.
a little odd to me.
Well, that's because it's like you pick the element that your dragon ancestor, and then you do more damage with that element. And then also I do like the fact that they get the additional health, better AC because dragon scalies.
Yeah, I'm alright with that one. I think Draconic will definitely feel better I guess I should say if they get an additional spell list.
Yeah.
Wings cool.
Yeah, wings. A lot of the sorcerers get like wings at 14th level.
It's, like half of them can fly by level 14.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
I kind of love it.
I mean, I'm not against it, but it is kind of funny. And Sam, what's your favorite?
All right. So like, I'm between two of them, and it's because I really like the stupidity of wild magic sorcerer, but also I really like the idea of clockwork sorcerer because I really like the idea of combining magic and technology. And yes, that's not technically what they do,
But it's kind of
however it has that vibe, and I really like that. So it's between those two. I can't really pick one. If I were, I had a feeling. But yeah, no, I really like the vibe of clockwork, but I also really like the idea of wild magic sorcerer, which is why that one time I played a wild magic barbarian.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, small little side note, I just realized too. The additional spell list thing also kind of helps with the fact that the sorcerer's subclass features are so spread out because you get additional spells at 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th level. So, that are thematic to your sorcerer type with Aberrant Mind and Clockwork Soul. So those actually do help a little too.
Yeah, they do.
Alrighty. Well, we've been talking too much. What a surprise.
Right.
Any final thoughts before I drag you all out back and make you all a nice meal?
Tabaxis can go very, very, very,
Tabaxi
very,
goes
very,
zoom.
very, very fast. Also, question, are we the mule or are we being fed?
You will find out.
I'm not going outside. You guys can have fun with that.
If I was gonna
Yes,
make
double
I
meal
was
for me.
gonna make some ribs, but
Sick, 2 ribs for me.
Man, you got a lot of ribs that can be made. Just saying.
it's very true. That's very true. It's weird cannibalism
We on the Sessions
joke.
Canceled podcast do not promote or allow
Don't eat people, it's
cannibalism. Yeah, no, don't do that. It not only is it very illegal and you'd kill someone, but also you can get a lot of brain degenerative diseases.
You can.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
But on Beastars, it looked so cool when he ate that one guy.
That's not the same.
Who's gonna tell him?
Nope. Anyway, follow
Monkey
us
hands.
on the Twitters and subscribe on your listening platform of choice if you'd be so inclined. Subscribe and or follow, whatever the funny hee button says.
Ooh-ha.
Hee hee hoo hoo. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, roll on the wild matter table, quick. 32. All right, let's see what happens to you, good sir. You're transported to the astral plane until the end of your next turn, after which you return to the space you previously occupied or the nearest unoccupied space. Nice.